How are we doing? We could do a little bit better than that, man. I said, how's everyone doing today, man?
Doing well, doing well.
Awesome. Pascal, welcome, welcome. It's good to see you. All of our live audiences here. I know there's some folks joining online as well. I'm just excited to be here, man. Pascal, welcome to SoundCheck,
Joel,
man. This is your second time, right?
Second time.
Man,
Yeah, this place is starting to feel like home.
I'm glad, brother. Yeah. I'm super glad. Listen, I want to get right out of the way. I see you've come locked and loaded, man.
Yes, sir.
You got your guitar there. I'm so excited, man. I'm curious, actually. I know there's some folks joining online to our Zoom audience. Can y'all just give us a quick shout out? Who's online? Where y'all coming from? We want to hear from y'all. Come on. Who do we got in the room right now, virtually?
Talk to us.
Yeah, talk to us, y'all. Unmute your mic. I want to hear from some folks. I know we got a bunch of folks joining in from all over. Yeah?
Talk to us. Don't be shy.
You know what?
Don't be shy.
It's all good, man. Maybe we got some quiet folk, but we got a loud guitarist. So
That's for sure.
It's all good. We're gonna
to play.
Listen, we're gonna make it happen, man. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here. Pascal, why don't we kind of start off by just talking about you, the man, the myth, the legend.
That's crazy.
Pascal, man. Tell us about yourself, man. What you got there in your hand, and just talk to us, man. How you been?
Yeah, I'll do a full, introduction
Awesome.
just in case.
Beautiful.
If by chance you guys don't know, my name is Pascal. I'm really happy to be here. So again, thank you for
Happy
the
to have you
invitation.
here, man.
This is great. I've been playing guitar since I'm gonna go way back and then speed up as much as I can.
Keep going, man.
I've been playing guitar since I was 9. I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think since I was 9. I'm 23 now, so that's I don't know.
Anyone good at math?
14
years?
14 years.
14 years.
14
man.
years. Yeah.
Wow. You hardly look 14, man.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Just a little bit.
I'll let
older,
you
right?
have it. I'll let you have it. Once I get the beard, we'll be good. We'll be on
good.
equal playing field. Yeah, I've been playing guitar for 14 years now. Started doing session work when I was 15 or 16 years old. And at that time, I didn't even have I had nothing that looked even remotely similar to this. It was
We're gonna talk about.
we're gonna get to here. We're gonna get to all the
that.
gear I use and all the
yes.
preferential stuff. But yeah, I played a classical guitar for the first 2-3 years.
Interesting.
Begged my parents for an electric
Nylon string.
Yes.
Wow.
So the strings were made of nylon.
Okay.
Yeah, for my first 2 or 3 years.
Interesting.
It was the only guitar, right? Because my parents didn't want. Okay, he quit. Now,
Got you.
Right?
Got you.
so I played that guitar for 3 years, and then hassled my parents for another guitar.
Nice.
And I got a red Squire Strat. For
Okay,
Christmas,
okay.
2012.
All right.
And at that point, it was like, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to be doing forever.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And do you still have that red Strat?
I do. I plan on modifying it.
Are you serious?
But every now and then I'll play it stock.
I know that guitar.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah.
Yeah, that guitar and I would go way back.
Holy.
I did all my first concerts with that guitar. Played my first album with that guitar.
Amazing.
We go back. So I'm planning on modifying it, but
For real.
Yeah.
I hear that.
Through the years, actually, I don't know if they can see that one. Can they see that guitar? Oh yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You could probably
so
see online. Yeah.
My first electric guitar looks just like that, but
Nice,
the
okay.
the features are not as nice. This one is actually nicer than my first guitar.
Okay, there we go.
But yeah, at that point, it kind of just it went from a hobby turned into a passion, and now I can't see myself not playing guitar.
And I understand that you're not only, I know obviously it's a guitar masterclass, but we were talking a little bit before, but I'm told there's some other instruments as well.
There are
right?
there are some other instruments. Funny enough, guitar is not my first instrument.
Right, okay.
So I started playing keys when I was 5.
Keys was number 1.
Yeah, so keys was my first instrument, and that's a lot of people's first instrument.
Okay.
Keys was my first instrument. By the time I was 8, I think I picked up a bass for the first time.
Okay.
Then
I'm trying to share the link for Pascal's masterclass.
we may have to mute
We're definitely gonna have to mute
our
that.
Zoom audience
That is,
there.
and I know exactly who that is. That's the funny part.
Oh, you actually know who
I know
it is?
exactly who that
Okay,
is.
there it is. There we go.
Yeah, I think by 2008, I had watched School of Rock like 6 times, and I was like, I want to play guitar. I want
okay.
to play guitar.
Got you.
And that's where that story started. But it was keys at 5, bass somewhere at 8, and then I stopped to start playing guitar.
Got you.
Got into drums around 11.
Wow. You've been all over the
Yeah.
Man.
Moving my whole way around the room.
Listen, right?
Whole way around the room,
That's
basically.
what's up.
Yeah. By 13, I started playing trumpet in high school.
Wow, okay.
Just,
You're a
wanted
musician.
to join. I'm trying to be. I'm really
real.
trying to be. I'm really trying to be.
For real.
By 13, I started playing trumpet. Went
Nice.
back to bass at 15. Played a little cello in high school. Played drums in high school. Did the whole sheet reading thing and
Got you.
Okay. All that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
The bebop and the
okay.
Benny
okay.
Goodman sing, all of that stuff.
Okay.
And then when I got to uni, I did not get a music degree, so I don't have a music degree.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
what did you study?
So I have a double major in poli-sci and philosophy and a minor in
I'm a
linguistics.
poli-sci student too. Let's go.
Directly.
Let's go. Something about guitar and poli-sci,
It just seems
right?
to make sense.
it just adds
that's
up.
crazy. We might have to come back to that.
For
but
real.
yeah.
That's big.
Once I got to university, it was just like I can't bring a keyboard with me. I don't own a bass. I can't bring a drum kit with me. So it was me and my guitar against the whole campus.
Wow.
And that was
the
pretty
rest
much
is
it.
history.
The rest is history, really.
Wow. I was gonna
Yeah.
ask you. So, y'all, are you hearing this, man? We got a multi-musician.
I'm really trying to be.
Multi-hat, multifaceted. This is great.
I'm really
Pascal,
trying to be.
question for you. So, out of the 15 instruments that you just named, what would you say from strongest, just
To
kind
weak-
of,
to
yeah,
weakest.
to
All right.
weakest? Is that
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah,
Is
we
it-
can do that. We can do
Okay.
that. Okay. Guitar is definitely strongest.
Okay.
I'm gonna put bass at number 2.
I can see that. Yeah.
Just because a lot of the skills are transferable.
Yep.
Keys is 3rd.
Okay. But I've heard you on drums. Interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
So for me, drums is the number 4,
Interesting.
and that's because I can think like a drummer,
okay.
but I haven't had the opportunity to get the mechanics through.
Got it.
So
got it.
I can tell a drummer, do this,
Right.
put a 7-stroke roll here.
Okay.
I can communicate,
Right.
but if you give me the sticks and put me in front of the kit,
It's not happening.
it might not be the
Okay,
cutest thing,
got
right?
you,
Especially
got
because I'm left-handed.
Oh,
So-
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so
Well,
I
you play
play.
right.
It's a thing.
Interesting.
It's a
Man,
thing. Yeah,
interesting.
The dexterity setup is weird.
That's what's up.
I don't fully understand it, but yeah, it's guitar, bass, keys, drums, and then trumpet.
I love it, man.
Just because I
love
haven't
it.
played it.
Yeah. Well, listen, we've been talking a little bit. Obviously, there's going to be some other questions and stuff, but man, can we hear that guitar that you got here, man?
Yeah.
Like, what did you want to play for us?
So this is a PRS Fiore. This is a signature model of the artist Mark Lettieri. He's the first on my top 3.
Awesome.
And yeah, this is his signature guitar. I'll just I'll play a little bit of. I always end up playing his stuff. I don't really.
That's all right.
Yeah,
We're gonna get to the
thing.
pedal board. But
We'll get to the rig, but right now this is just. That's just reverb.
Awesome.
Right, that's clean tone and reverb.
Some slap back there.
Just a little bit of We'll get there. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll stop there.
Oh, man. No, why'd you stop?
I'll stop there.
Man?
I'll stop there.
I was enjoying it, man. God.
I'll stop there.
Listen.
There's a lot more,
listen.
but yeah.
Pascal, man, you've got some amazing tone.
Appreciate it.
Just
you.
such a sound. I don't know is everyone hearing this? Am I the only one? He's got a sound. Yeah, man. Please.
I love that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
man.
A little bit of something.
Beautiful playing.
A little bit of something.
You know what? Let's do it, man. Because you've got.
Yeah.
I'm hearing some wonderful just tones and some brightness, some reverb, like all kinds of sounds going on.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just kind of walk us through, right? Because
Cool.
you brought everything, didn't
Yeah. So, anyone who has known me longer than, I guess, 2021 would be familiar with this board. But this is kind of like, once I got this set up, I was like, yeah, I'm happy with this. This does exactly what I need it to do.
Awesome.
Eventually, this will turn into like one of those super turbocharged, super duper mega rigs where, you know, it's like the size of a school bus and weighs like 400 pounds. But until then, it's a very, very simple setup. And I
love it.
I have recommended a lot of these pedals to other people. This is just a Dunlop volume pedal. There's no MIDI anything on this board. Everything is
I
just
noticed, right? Yep.
yeah, everything is just one after the other. I'm going from the guitar into the volume pedal, so it's just right when it's toe down, volume's all the way up, and when it's toe up, it's
nothing.
Can't hear a thing.
So that's basically a master volume.
Essentially, I have
you.
it set up as a master volume.
Got you. Nice.
From there, the first pedal we go into, and I'm going to turn this down just so I don't, destroy people's speakers.
Yep. All good.
First one is the Dude Volume 2. It's an overdrive pedal by J Rocket. I've really come to love this pedal.
Awesome.
I'll play it a little bit.
Ooh.
Yeah, it does everything I needed to do.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I really like this pedal.
Jeez,
Yeah.
and so it's an overdrive pedal, right? Or,
Yeah.
Okay, got
Yeah,
you.
this is an overdrive.
That sounds
It's
sweet, man.
It's pretty transparent. A lot of their drives are really transparent, which I like. It doesn't get in the way of what your natural tone sounds like or what the amp you're using sounds like.
Got
Right?
you.
Because a lot of people will use overdrive to kind of morph the tone that their amp is giving them.
Right.
Whereas with a lot of the music I'm playing, I need to be able to go from like this side to this side.
Right.
Like with one push. Right? I'm not really doing too much tone shaping in terms of what the amp is giving me. The amp just exists as a platform to get through.
No, that
Right?
makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah.
And I noticed because I have I think it's the melody. Is that another one?
I also
similar?
have the melody.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
and
I used to have the
EQ,
melody.
right?
Yeah, I used to have the melody right there.
Okay.
Just above the Dude. I took it off because I was starting another board.
Okay.
Figured, I'll put the melody there, put the Dude here.
And
but I really like that pedal as well.
yeah. How do you find the tones between them? Similar?
They're
Different?
fairly similar. I
Okay.
think the striking difference is the EQ.
Yeah.
That one has an
Yeah,
EQ,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
EQ is after the overdrive, as opposed
right.
to before, which I think is great.
Awesome, man. Incredible.
Yeah. Tonally, they if there was no EQ on the melody, I would say they sound pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, there
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
too
yeah.
much of a difference between them.
Fair enough.
But I don't know. For some reason, the Dude just seems more transparent to me, and it's
Got you.
louder. It's a louder pedal.
Got you.
That's always nice.
Sounds beautiful, man.
when it's needed.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
what else you got on your rig there?
After that, we have the Jackson Audio Prism.
Okay.
This I use it as a clean boost primarily when I'm doing swells and stuff.
Okay.
I'm going for the more ambient type stuff.
And does that stay on usually for you, or
No, actually, I'll typically only use it in 3 settings.
okay?
One, if I'm doing ambient stuff, so like swells and a lot of like I'm trying to do like rain stick patterns or like.
Can you show us maybe?
Yeah,
a little
sure.
bit? Yeah.
So typically I'll set my reverb to noon. there's a delay. I'll tap a tempo in, you know, just nothing. Right. So I'll typically do stuff like, okay, without the prism, right. With it, I get a little bit of volume, a little bit of saturation. Should probably turn the guitar volume up. That sounds so much better.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. You can really hear the difference.
Without?
Yeah.
With?
Oh, so much body.
Yeah. It gets a little thicker. I can do stuff
That's
like
beautiful,
that.
Man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's the prism.
So what kind? Technically, what kind of pedal is it? Because I know the other one was an overdrive.
Yeah.
So this is technically, is it?
See, like the whole, it's considered a boost pedal.
A boost.
And boost kind of just lives in its own world.
Got it.
A lot of people will try to blur the lines between boost and overdrive.
Got it.
Right. Vertex makes a really good boost. I don't own it.
The MK.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
sure.
right. Literally all of them.
Listen,
they're all really good.
listen.
But a lot of people will say if you push the knobs on that, it starts to dirty up a little bit.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I don't really do that.
True.
I've never really had to. If worst comes to worst, I'll hit the dude and then push the prism.
Right.
Like if I'm taking a solo.
Yeah.
Just get a little more saturation, a little more push.
Yeah.
Let the engineer not worry about anything. Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah. After the prism,
Yeah.
I have what I like to call the TC corner. All three of these colorful, non-matching pedals
okay.
are only by the same company.
Yes.
This
TC
is
Electronic.
TC Electronic. This is the Corona Chorus. Terrible name. Absolutely terrible name.
Okay.
Terrible.
Pre-
Okay. Let's talk about that. I bought this pedal in like May of 2019.
Okay.
And I was like, Corona, like crown, it's a nice name.
Okay.
Yeah, February happened. I was like, okay, it's a wash.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But
Got
I mean,
it.
chorus is I'm Nigerian.
Okay.
And chorus is a fairly commonly used effect. The way I have it dialed right now, it's pretty extreme.
Okay.
But
oh yeah.
right. A lot of people will use it. It's like it's a 70s, 80s thing, right?
Beautiful sound though.
Right, without
It
chorus,
sounds like a phase.
it kind of lives in that family.
Okay.
You have tremolos, you have phasers, you have
Yeah.
chorus. They all hang out with each other.
That's
a thing over there.
awesome.
After that, it's all wet effects, delay,
Yeah.
TC flashback 2. Heard a little bit of it already.
And that stays on usually.
It depends on what I'm playing.
Okay.
I find I don't use as much delay as I should. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It's one of those waves I don't really find myself jumping on.
Okay.
Unless I absolutely know I need to use it.
Yeah.
Or a producer is like, "Hey, can you?"
Right.
Like what happens is I'll send them the files.
Right.
And they're like, "Hey, just for next time, can you
some-
can you add some, we want it to sound really big. We want it to sound like a stadium." And once I hear the word stadium, I know
Interesting.
automatically
Yeah, interesting.
what they're talking about is a delay.
And you're gonna talk more about that because I hear you getting into live.
Yeah,
Studio
we're getting there.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about stuff like that. After this, it's the Hall of Fame 2 reverb. I mean, it's just reverb. If I crank it, it does this.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if I turn it off, it sounds like this.
Very dry.
Sounds like I'm in a closet.
Yeah.
It has no character.
Yeah. Still
Versus-
sounds good.
It sounds good.
Because it's you, right?
But I mean,
Yeah.
that just feels like it's breathing a little more.
And hit that delay. Let me just see how that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much space.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful playing. Y'all give it up, man. Come on.
Thank
Are
you.
y'all enjoying this? Is it just me? Man, this is amazing, man. This is
I'm having
amazing,
fun.
Pascal. Thank you
having
for
fun.
breaking down all those sounds.
Of course.
And this is based, like, this is it, right? Like, you'll
yeah,
take this.
like for the most part, I have this rig. This is like my fully analog rig.
Yeah.
And I have a digital rig as well. I use the quad.
Right.
I do. Yeah, I use the Quad Cortex binaural DSP.
Interesting.
I love it. I think it's great. My setup on it is
Yeah.
almost the exact same as this.
Interesting.
I think the only thing I've added is an octave pedal.
Okay.
Most of my effects are in stereo as opposed to mono, just so
Right,
my
yeah.
delays move a little better.
Yeah.
And I think on my main preset, like 2 extra overdrives. I have
Okay.
like a medium gain one, like a low medium gain one, and then like a
Okay, nice.
like
right.
a really really
Yeah, ready to
yeah,
go.
exactly, yeah.
We need a solo.
Hopefully we can get there today. Hopefully we can get there today.
Awesome.
I think we have a couple of things loaded. We can get
Awesome,
there.
man. I'm excited. This is gonna be great. And so that's the rig. And you didn't really mention it. The last one.
Yeah. So
Is
the last
that-
pedal here, this is the Strymon Iridium. It's essentially an amp simulator
Right.
in situations where I walk into a church and they've thought of everybody except for me. That's
Please talk about that. Please talk about that a little bit.
That's
because
usually how it goes nowadays. It's okay, walk in the room, guitar on the
Yup,
back, and it's okay. I see 1 keyboard.
Yup.
I see 2 keyboards.
Amp.
I see a 3rd keyboard.
Uh-huh.
I see a bass.
Uh-huh.
I see a whole drum set with 6 cymbals in a cage.
Uh-huh.
And there's 1 tiny little DI in the
Yup.
corner over there
You
for
have
the
to
guitar.
find it.
And you have to
You have to ask the sound man
brother,
first of
and
all.
there's a guitar. I didn't know there was a guitar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up getting this just because
Yup.
moving these around,
Yeah. Talk about it, brother.
this doesn't
Yeah.
work. You can't always do this, right?
I
So,
get it.
Yeah.
And so when in a situation like now when you're, playing through an amp, it's off.
Bypass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Running
Yeah,
straight
yeah.
through it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned the quad cortex.
Quad
Is that what it's
cortex.
called?
Yeah.
Awesome. So how do you find the tones compare? Because that's a fully digital board, and I noticed on your MasterClass you brought.
I brought the analog.
So you gotta talk. To
Right.
us.
So I brought the analog for a couple of reasons. One, analog gear is more accessible than digital gear. Especially like the higher end digital gear.
Right.
Like before you get to the point where you can afford those, like
Right.
like it's an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas you can put something like this together in like a year or 2
Right.
and just pace yourself.
Right.
So I figured if I bring this, then people can see like what is doable.
Got it.
That's
and,
one.
And you still use this?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do. So not as much as I used to.
Okay.
But I think the last time I used this was at church about a month ago,
Okay.
and that was really just because one of my friends was like, "Bring the analog rig back,"
Yeah,
and he just
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
leave me alone until I agreed. so I brought it out, and it sounded just the same as my digital rig.
Awesome.
And that's really because the Quad Cortex has a feature where you can like capture your drive tones. That way, when you're using it, you can just emulate them.
Interesting.
Instead of using the drives that are
Isn't
in
that
it.
like a Kemper thing almost?
Yeah.
Ish,
So what the
or-
Kemper does is like it profiles your amp,
Okay.
which is
okay.
it's different, but it's
Okay.
not different, but
Okay.
it's different.
Got it.
I don't know the best way to explain it, but essentially this pedal right here. Let's turn that reverb down because no one needs that much reverb. Right. So I have this tone
Right.
in my Quad Cortex.
Nice.
So-
you feel right at home.
Exactly. whether I'm using this rig or that rig, nothing really changes.
Got you.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. No, that's incredible. Well, thank you for walking us through.
Of course.
Anyone else want to hear some more guitar, man? All right, Pascal, what you got from us? I know you actually had.
Yeah, I got a couple of my sessions loaded up here on my laptop.
Awesome, because I know we were talking about this a bit earlier, right? Just this idea of, you're a guitar player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes as a guitar player, you're being put into different scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Definitely.
Sometimes you're being put into a live scenario,
Yeah.
wherein, you're playing with a drummer, you're playing with a keyboard player, a bass player, who knows, maybe a second keys, right? Et cetera, organ, right? But then at the same time, you might be put into a live session. And so we're going to be talking a lot about these different types of approaches because, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not just one approach.
The whole live versus studio thing is never really like a one-size-fits-all approach.
Got it.
At the end of the day, if you're doing a studio session,
Right.
The producer is king. And whatever
Say it again.
In a studio, I'll say it straight to the camera. In a studio situation, the producer is king. If he or she says, "Hey, I want to hear a dotted eighth delay," you better find your dotted eighth delay,
Right.
And you better give them the dotted eighth delay they're asking for, right? Whereas in a live setting, you have a little bit more leeway because you can take the song,
right?
As long as you learn the parts to the song, as long as you
guitar players are notorious.
As long as you learn the parts to the song, you can start to interpret them, not necessarily change, but interpret them the way you want.
Awesome.
You don't have that luxury in the studio.
Awesome. And I can't wait to hear what that all sounds like. Yeah, so I know you had a session for us that you wanted to show.
Yeah, I got a few sessions.
Okay, awesome.
The first one I have here is a song called Trust You by Symphony. This is, honestly, in all the years I've been doing sessions, this one is easy top 2. Easy top 2. It was produced by Godwin Hillary.
Okay.
He's a producer out of Nigeria.
Okay.
Insane. Absolutely insane.
Awesome.
Should I just play it? Should I?
Yeah. So how do you want to do this for us? Because I know you've got sort of like an approach that is kind of pre-recorded, right? That you're going to kind of break down for us. So yeah, why don't we start with that?
Okay.
Just to kind of hear what we have.
I'm going to preface this by saying there are certain situations where I, as a session musician, will get a song, like I'll get a record to play on, and you can almost just tell based on how the song sounds what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So when I heard this for the first time, I opened Logic, threw it in. I was like, Jesus Christ. Okay. This is going to be a long one.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I think in total, this one took me about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
I think just under 3 hours.
Okay.
After
That's
I added
still pretty quick.
finishing touches. That's
some good turnaround time. If I'm
pretty,
a producer and I send you a track, you're telling me in 3 hours I get my track.
You
back?
can, yeah. Granted, I'm not doing anything that day, right?
That's some good turnaround time there.
But yeah, simpler songs will typically take me like an hour and change.
Okay.
Just
yeah,
it's really just finding the time to get it done in one sitting.
Awesome. So let's hear it, and then you can walk us through how you record it and all that good stuff.
Definitely. All right, here we go. I'm gonna turn that up. Just the guitars.
sir. That's how you feel.
Just the guitars. 2 separate choruses. Sound the exact same. Little bit of color in between. Da-da-da-da.
Woo!
Okay. Yeah. I forgot about this part. Yeah.
Let's give it up, man. That is incredible.
Thank you.
Wow. Pascal, I don't even know where to start, man. Jeez.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I do either.
You had to tear it up like that, eh?
Man.
That's how you were feeling.
That's what they asked for.
Man, I love
That's what
it.
they asked
All right. This is beautiful. So let's start like this. You didn't play guitar. You played guitars.
Okay,
So
let's talk about
let's
that.
talk about that first.
That's a great place to start.
All right.
All right. In the session world, guitar is one of the few instruments that will have to play a song 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times over. Right? When you're recording bass, you're not going to record 2 bass tracks.
Right.
You play bass once, work through the song,
And that's it.
and you're done.
Yeah.
You can go home right after that.
Yeah.
In the guitar world, you'll play acoustic once. The producer wants to pan the acoustic guitars left and right, so you'll play it again. You will not copy and paste. You will not copy and paste. You'll do one here, you'll do one there, hard pan, and then you'll pick up an electric guitar. You'll do all the clean guitar stuff. You'll pick your spots. They'll run stuff with effects.
Right.
If they want to do a duplicate, they're not going to pitch octave down. You're going to replay it. So, yeah,
Right.
as you can see here in the session, there are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 6 different tracks, and there's something on each track that
Awesome.
that requires it having its own track.
Interesting.
That's the annoying part.
And when you're tracking, so you're literally tracking 6 times, essentially.
Essentially.
Right?
So what I've found works best for me is I'll go section by section,
Okay.
and I'll do everything in one section. And then if I catch a vibe,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to stay where I am for as long as I can.
Okay.
And then I'll go back and I'll add the rest of the stuff.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
you in your approach, you almost do it in terms of parts or sections.
Yeah, so I'm breaking everything up, and if it feels good to keep going,
Yeah,
I'll
you're
just
gonna
keep
keep going. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And so you would do that all in your approach. Let's say you're doing distortion lines, for example.
Yeah.
You would do distortion lines all the way. First part intro.
from wherever I start
Okay.
until I mess up.
Okay. Got
Once
it.
I mess up,
You
I'll
stop.
kind of
Yep.
analyze where I messed up,
Right.
do the next one.
Got it.
If I need to do like lead stuff and then power chords,
Got it.
I'll do power chords up until the point where I messed up on the first track.
Okay.
If it feels good to keep doing the power chords, once
Okay.
I'm there, I'll keep going.
Interesting.
If I still don't know the song, I'll just go back and I'll just go back to the lead track and I'll just continue the lead track.
Interesting. So you're willing to, because you're going to the next part, you're willing to switch over.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
if that means, okay, now I'm done playing lead, this part really is calling for some rhythm.
Yep.
I'm going rhythm now.
And I'll just do that.
and just keep going.
Yeah.
And so you approach it in a linear sense.
For the
almost.
most part.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
For the most part.
That's interesting. Yeah. No, it's very interesting to hear. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And
Of
so
course.
you mentioned the lead part. So just talk like how are you approaching this? Are you when you hear a session or even this session for example, are you just at that point now when you're playing where you're like, it sounds like it needs this here.
The answer to that question,
sounds like this should be here.
the honest answer to that question is yes.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I'm really, really grateful to God for getting to that point
Awesome.
because it wasn't always like that.
Okay.
When I started doing sessions, it was, hey, what direction are you thinking of taking the song in?
Right.
Does it need
Right.
power chords? Do I
Right,
switch
right,
here?
right,
Do I
right.
switch there?
Got it.
And the producer would just be like, dude, why you
Yeah.
play the record?
Play guitars.
Play guitar.
Yeah.
So then it turned into a thing where I was like, okay, I'm in my room. It's me and my computer. And in my mind, it's me and this computer versus the producer.
Right.
So
Interesting. Okay.
this is kind of my competitive edge
Okay.
side, Kobe
Yeah,
Bryant, Mamba
yeah, yeah,
mentality
okay.
side, right? Like I need to be able to finish this whole session as quickly and as cleanly as possible. Send the reference to the producer, and they fall in love with it.
Right.
They don't want any changes.
Yep.
They send me the money we agreed on,
Yep.
and I send them
Move
all
on
the
with my
steps,
life.
and I move on with my life.
For real.
If I can do that, then I've won the session.
Absolutely.
If that's not the case, if it takes me too long, it takes me more than one day, they want edits, then in my mind, I've lost.
You lost.
So the next time I work with them, I have to get the one up on them. So it's me
Interesting.
against the producer, but it's really me against myself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. It sounds like some Last Dance MJ.
That's kind of that's kind of the idea, you know. I'm trying to drop 81. I'm trying to drop 81 every single time.
Man. That's
Yeah.
what's up. That's what's up. And so, you've been playing and you get this session, your mentality is let's hit the ball out of the park. Like, we gonna get this.
Every single time.
Every
Right.
time. And that's
Every
your
time.
mindset. So even before you open it up, you're ready.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have to be. I really don't have a choice.
Awesome.
Otherwise, when I send the demo, they're gonna say, I don't
Right.
like this. I don't like that. I don't like this.
Right.
Change that.
Right.
And I don't have time.
And then all of a sudden, and let's talk about that because we don't maybe talk about this enough, right? As a session musician, right, you're being paid for your time essentially,
That's right. That's right.
And so in that case, as you said, right, I'm trying to get this thing done as soon as possible because I don't have 2 days or 3 days to turn this thing around. I've got to be able to do it quickly, or else all of a sudden, maybe what I agreed to in price doesn't even make sense for my time.
Exactly.
Right?
Definitely.
So these are all things that you have to really, key in on and lock in on.
Yeah.
But that's incredible, man. And again, just hearing your approach, talk to me a little bit about soloing, because in that track, I heard at least 2 or 3 times.
There are some spots.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, where there's some stuff going on.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna skip to these spots.
Sure.
And we're gonna run through them again.
Awesome.
I think the first
and I think we
one-
can actually pull up your session so they can actually see it.
Have they not?
Yeah,
Oh,
awesome.
yeah,
There
it's
we
up.
go.
Oh, great.
That's what's up.
Okay, perfect. So, I don't need the editor, so I'll close that. There we go. I'll zoom in.
So y'all, we're getting the full
This
raw
is-
audio.
this is it.
This is it.
This
This
is-
is what he's sending and turning over to the producer.
Yeah,
This is it.
as is. I literally bounced these out.
Panned, unpanned.
And nothing gets panned in the stems.
Okay.
When I'm sending reference,
Okay.
I'll pan stuff, adjust the volume.
Right,
But
okay.
when I'm sending actual stems, everything is centered, everything's at 0.
Got it.
That's just it's
Y'all can take some notes. It's all right.
It's
That's
session
all right.
it's session etiquette, right?
This
If
is
you want
all
someone
right.
to listen to something, and this goes for guitars, this goes for keys, this goes for stacking vocals.
Right.
That's a big thing. If
Right.
you're stacking vocals, you should never be sending your vocals out left side or right side.
Right. What
Just-
if that doesn't fix in their mix?
Mhm.
Right.
Perfect.
Right.
That's exactly the point. Send everything down the middle and let them worry about moving stuff.
Right.
That's my approach as a session musician.
Awesome.
I'm gonna play this and we're gonna see where it is. I don't have markers in this because I just don't have markers.
Yeah, it's all good.
The solo I'm looking for is before this. I want to imagine. Okay, this channel is the lead channel.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That
Super clean. Am I lying?
appreciate it. So that kind of existed as a solo I stole.
Interesting.
And when I say stole, let me be specific. I didn't steal the notes. I stole the liberty.
Mhm.
The producer never said, "Hey,
Start
in this
soloing
section,
more. Right.
solo."
Right.
The artist never said, "Hey, in this section, solo." That never happened.
Right.
I took the song, played the song up until you can actually see in the session, all of the waveforms stop right before that solo starts.
Right.
Because when I got to this point, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I need.
To get over.
What it was for me was I need to help the song shift. Right? The solo is less about, okay, there's a guitar player on the session.
Right.
I'm going to rip my face off.
Right.
And everyone's going to be like, oh my God, who is. It's
Right.
not about that. It's about, I'm going to mute all the guitars. I'm just going to solo everything. And the song goes from like a point to a counterpoint in the
Right.
bridge. So. Right? Like the choices that the producer is making here are very intentional in
Right.
that he's switching from major to minor. So we're doing that to go somewhere.
Right.
So if we're going somewhere, then it's my job as a musician to help the music go where it needs to go.
Awesome.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, if I've been playing pocket stuff the whole song, if I'm just if I'm doing that for 2 verses and 2 choruses, it's just if I'm doing that for 2 verses and 2 choruses,
Right.
then when I get to that counterpoint, what I do needs to change with the music.
So let's break that down because you're moving quickly, but I want to make sure the audience is all soaking all of this up. man,
Right,
'cause this is
right.
great. So right there, y'all, we're seeing some of the approach, right? We're seeing chords,
Yeah.
rhythm. Then we're seeing,
There's some single note stuff.
single
you know,
note kind of funky
Yeah.
parts, right? and then you transition now, as you said, because now you know the song is building.
The song is building. The song is changing. I don't need to be doing that anymore. Right. So if you actually look at the session, you will notice that where that rhythm part is, I do believe it's this one. Yeah.
Right. You're like, yep.
You get to
that's
that,
it.
and it's gone. It's gone. It just doesn't. There's a little bit here, but it's gone.
Beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't need it anymore.
It actually purpose.
It comes back when the vocals join in, just so there's a little bit more dimension to the music. But we're in this instrumental counterpoint.
Right.
Right. Nothing is really happening besides some O's and the music.
Right.
So I figure, as a guitar player, I need something to help carry this music along.
Awesome.
And that's essentially what the purpose of the solo is.
Beautiful.
Because if we listen to it without the solo,
needs a little something.
yeah. Empty.
Got you.
Empty.
Got you. You know what I love?
Very empty.
You know what I love about this, Pascal? You're talking about it. You're not thinking about yourself
At all.
as a player.
You can't.
You're serving the song, and you're serving the production and whoever arranged it and produced it,
And whoever's singing.
and whoever's singing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, how much of session work would you say is staying out of the way and helping to serve the song?
I'm going to say, if I had to put it into a percentage, I would say 75%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Most of session work, at least in this genre,
Yeah.
when you're doing this type of music,
Right.
is don't play any more than what is necessary.
Right.
The second you do that, the producer is probably looking for someone to replace you.
Yeah. For real.
It's really that simple. You will get your, if you're mature and you're wise musically,
Right.
you will find those avenues.
Right. You'll sneak them in.
Exactly, and you'll sneak them in. So in this session, there are actually a number of spots after the solo
Right.
where I'm sneaking in some extra stuff.
And talk about this because it comes through in your playing, right? Lines, just lines, lines, and you're accenting lines that the producer took out.
Yeah.
But you're also, in some cases, just letting your lines flow. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So my approach to this concept you're talking about is essentially, what would a drummer do? And this is going to sound
Interesting.
probably very, very backwards.
Okay.
But for me, if I can listen to a drummer take a backbeat, right? Just right? Take a simple backbeat, and they take the last little portion of that backbeat to fill before the rest of the band joins in.
Right.
Then I can take that concept
Right.
and guitarify it, right? So what I can do is right before everyone is supposed to come in and play something,
Right.
I can add a little fill,
Right.
just so it's like, I'm gonna go first and everyone else is behind me.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But when you
Lead
do
guitar.
exactly, my brother. Exactly.
We're locked in.
So when you do it correctly, it turns into a situation where it's less about yourself as a guitar player, and it's more about making everything else that comes after you sound bigger and better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really what it's about.
Absolutely.
There's one spot, I want to say it's this one. No, it's not that one. It might be this one. That one. All right. Is it okay if I play this?
Yeah, I know you also have a couple other sessions as well. But
I do.
Yeah, let's get this one and then we can, because I want to hear everything that you've got.
All
here,
right.
man.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
Sure the audience does too.
Cool. So, a little bit of context. We've done a good chunk of the bridge. At this point, we're looking for a second pass of the bridge, and it starts with solo vocal.
Doubling on the bass.
That line,
Right.
this one right here, I'll even solo it just so you guys know I didn't steal it. So that line doesn't show up anywhere else in the music. Right. For me, I'm kind of thinking if the drummer's going right. So I'm thinking, obviously, I don't have any toms to hit.
Right.
All I have are notes to play.
Right.
So if I can mess around with notes the same way a drummer might move back and forth on a kit, then I can end up with a lick that sounds just like this. Exactly. Yeah.
You can literally hear.
Right. And that's exactly what I was going for.
Are y'all hearing this?
Right.
This is beautiful.
That's exactly what I was going for in that
very
section.
informative.
I think there's one more somewhere in the session, but like you said,
Awesome.
we do want to move on.
Move on.
And, yeah.
And just quickly, because we're going to get out of this session, but because this is all about studio approaches versus live approaches. So we've been talking a lot about the studio approach, right? Because obviously, you get the session, you tear it up. You're thinking 6 tracks. You're thinking rhythm. You're thinking lead. You're thinking lines. You're thinking, color. But live playing, how would you approach that same song, but now in a live setting? Because you don't have 6 of yourselves to reproduce, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Okay. This is always an interesting conversation for guitar players. I think what is required is per section. You have to, and when I say per section, really I mean like per 8 bars.
Okay.
You need to know what is the most necessary thing for me to be doing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And a lot of times that will kind of bleed through even in your session playing. For example, I'm just going to give an example. I don't need the lead track.
Right.
I don't need this.
Right.
I don't need this.
Right.
I can do this, or I can do that.
Right. Right.
Either one of those two in a live situation will make sure I keep the gig.
Got it.
It's that simple.
So in other words, you're prioritizing.
Yes. You have to do everything you can do in the studio, and then when you play it live, prioritize.
Interesting.
If you know you don't need to be playing power chords, don't play power chords.
Right. Or doubling the bass.
Playing the melody when the singer is singing the melody for the first time.
Right.
You don't need to be doing that.
So is this helpful for folks? Are folks getting something from this? Awesome. I'm glad. We're going to move on. So while you get that ready, Pascal, I just wanted to find out, are there any questions? Because I know I've been doing a lot of talking. We've covered a lot so far. We've gone through a lot of stuff. I know there's our audience online. There's some folks here. Did anyone have any questions that they wanted to ask? Well, Pascal pulls up the next thing that he's going to show us. Here, why don't you grab the mic real quick just so everybody can hear you.
Hey, Pascal. So you were talking about how like some of the lines that you play in studio sessions come from you thinking like a drummer.
Yeah.
So if you're for someone that is just starting to like learn guitar or even generally as a musician, how would you advise for someone to get in terms of how do you get to that aspect of being that creative where you're not just thinking I'm a guitar player, let me play like a guitar as a guitar person, but rather I'm a musician. How can I get myself to think more broadly where now everything else is feeding my music and it now gives me a better approach of what to play, when to play this, and how to play it?
That's a great question. When I started out, what I did was, honestly, I would just play whatever scale, like what the scale of whatever key the song is in, and I would syncopate it. So instead of playing like doop 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 doop, I play doop doo doo doop 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 doop doo, and then instead of just going all the way up the scale and then all the way back down the scale, you can start skipping notes. Doop doop doo 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 doop doo 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 doop doo 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 doop doop doo 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 do 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 do. Right. So you can take that stuff, and once you manipulate a scale, it's a melody, automatically. There's no right. There's no grand definition of what a melody is.
Say
right.
that again, man.
Once you take a scale and you manipulate it, you have a melody. All melodies are based on some type of scale. Even if they're atonal, you can typically find some type of reference point, right? Even if it's just a chromatic scale, technically that's a scale. So I would say when it comes to being creative, think less about what notes you're playing and think more about how you play them, right? How do they sit in time? How do they sit octave-wise? Like, is the next note immediately after, or can you move it an octave lower? Can you move it an octave higher than where it is and then work your way back down to where you were before? Stuff like that. Yeah.
Can you demonstrate? Because you know me,
Demonstrate. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, you know me and the long talk. I love a little bit of showing.
Love a little bit of show. Okay.
That same concept with like scales and
Right.
kind of working.
Okay. If I do like I can do. All right. Yeah, I can do. Or I can do. And automatically it's kind of gotten a little brighter, right? It's the same notes. It's 1, 7, 5, 3, 2, 1. But if I go 1,
Right.
right?
The octave. Right. Beautiful.
Right.
So jumping back.
I'm all the
down
right.
and
So I'm jumping
back
up. I'm jumping down. It's a thing where you can take. Someone says play this note, then this note, then this note, then this note. They'd never tell you where.
Right.
Right. Especially in a live setting, if you know the line is, for example,
Right.
we play that line all the time in my church, but I don't have to play. I can play.
Right.
I can play. Or. Right. Instead of playing the last line of that melody, I can just
Right. Play,
go a third below,
Right.
go to my root note.
Got it. Right.
Now it's like, okay, it's the same melody,
Right.
3 different ways, slightly different endings.
And so what you're doing, you're taking the same notes, but depending on where you know you're going down or up in the melody line, right?
Exactly.
And that kind of makes it sound bigger.
Yes, and going up versus going down can help you set yourself up as a player to do other things.
Right.
For example, if I do...
Right. Now you're in power chord.
Right, I'm
Right.
going down. I know I can do more of I can take more of a supporting role.
Right.
But I've still played the line with the rest of the band.
Right.
Whereas, right
You're
now,
ready to solo.
exactly, I'm
Yeah.
stepping out a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
going up versus going down, it really depends on like, what are you trying to accomplish? If you can answer that question, then you can reverse engineer that question and implement creativity
Beautiful,
into it.
man. This is deep stuff, y'all. Yo, thanks for the question.
Yeah,
man.
it's a good
That's
question.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions before we kind of move on? All right. Anyone online? All right. Let's move on.
Cool.
So this talk to us about this next
Yeah.
session that you're
So
gonna show us.
this session is this is actually a song that's unreleased.
Okay.
You guys can see the title and the name, but
Right.
I mean, you guys technically don't know who that is unless
Okay.
you know. The one person laughing knows. But yeah, I pulled this session up because it was produced by the same person.
Okay. Interesting.
But the songs, I mean, they have different feel because a producer should have range.
Right.
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 If you're producing the same song every time, bit of a problem. But I mean, this is Godwin Hillary's work. He's incredible.
Awesome.
I took all the other stuff out because it's unreleased.
Mm-hmm.
So all we're gonna hear is guitars.
Okay.
But this is one of the sessions I have where like the guitars work together very, very well.
Awesome.
So I figured, and there's acoustic in this as well.
All right.
So that's a little added element.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. Let's see if this is gonna play. lots of delay. There's a lot of delay in this song. Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Love that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Back to it. Yeah.
Y'all give it
That's
up
that.
overtime for Pascal
That's
on the
that.
session
That's
work.
that. That's that.
Pascal,
Yes, sir.
did they pay you?
They paid me.
They better have paid
They
you,
paid
man.
me.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen, man. Good work, brother.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
work. Y'all, first of all, let me break this down for y'all.
Talk to them.
That was just guitar, y'all.
Yeah.
That was not the bass. That was not the keyboard. That was not drums.
No
that was not
drums.
vocals.
Yeah.
That was just guitar. Let's give it up for Pascal. Listen, that sounded so full. So if I'm a producer and you give me that,
Yeah.
I can find one part. At least one. Now I get your approach.
Yeah.
Y'all remember what he was saying?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to make sure y'all don't call me back.
Yeah.
Take something
Not,
here
not
and
on,
use it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Something has to work.
Something here have to work.
Something here has to work.
You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
Definitely.
And I read it, man. It sounds incredible, y'all. So
Appreciate it.
as we're breaking this down, y'all, you probably hearing this, right? We're hearing acoustic guitar
Yep.
going on. We're hearing lead lines
Yep.
going on. We're hearing distortion kind of power chords going on, right? And maybe actually just in case folks don't understand that, can you just quickly show us power chords? Just kind of break that down.
Sure. So essentially, I'll start from the end and work backwards. So this is a note. I know this seems like I'm being a little facetious, but
build on
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Work it up.
this is a note.
Yep.
When you put 3 or more notes together that all have a common, let's call it a common ground.
Yeah.
We'll call it common ground for now. You put them all together, you get a chord.
Yep.
This is a chord. Right?
Yep.
I can take the root note of that chord,
Right.
which in this case is the lowest note,
Yep.
and I can go 5 letter notes up
Mm-hmm.
to get to the 5th.
Right.
Play them together.
Yep.
That is a power chord.
Got it.
This is a chord.
Mm-hmm.
That's a power chord.
So the 1 and the 5.
And the 5.
Got it.
What some people will do is they'll add the 1 again, an octave higher.
Yep.
So
yeah,
they'll go
yeah.
1, 5, 1.
Yeah. Right.
Also,
Depends on what you're calling.
yeah,
right?
it's really about what you want to do at the end of the day. But yeah, power chord
Awesome.
is primarily root and 5th. You would typically play it with some overdrive, and it would sound. I think the song is in.
Perfect pitch too.
It's in G.
Close? Okay.
Yeah. So this song 2. 4. 1.
That's just 2 notes
Yeah.
and some distortion.
Yeah.
Yup.
Right. That's somewhere in the
Beautiful.
song. but
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Those are
And-
power chords at work.
And then so you'll lay that down.
Yep.
And then all those beautiful lines is what's coming right on top.
Sits on top. Yeah.
Y'all understanding this?
Yeah.
So he's riding, filling up space on the low end. That's vibing with the bass part, likely vibing with the chords that the keyboards are playing.
There has to be a lot.
All
There
locked
has to
up,
be a lot.
right?
Yeah.
And then at the top now you're playing lead, right? And you're guiding the melody, and sometimes you're just kind of coloring
Yep.
and making it sound beautiful.
Yep.
Awesome. So one thing we talked a little bit about this, but as guitar players, like it's almost like our job is to make everything better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
One of my friends described my guitar playing as wanted but not needed. But because it's wanted, it's needed. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, at first I didn't understand it. But then I kind of listened to situations where I would be playing and took myself out of those situations.
right.
And listening to what I was adding to the music not being there.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I can see why this would be so wanted it becomes needed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. It's like everybody says, hold on, let's talk about this because I think it's important.
Where are we going?
You do that, right? Wanted, not needed.
Yeah.
You know, knock the ball out of the park.
Yep.
And then the song gets released.
Yeah.
And then the song gets released. And you don't really hear no guitar
Oh, man.
in the mix.
Yeah. Okay. That one. And this happens on records this happens live.
Mm-hmm.
This happened, like the fact that this still happens live in 2024 is insane. I'm blessed to go to a church where this doesn't happen.
Okay.
But I can say, like, having played at certain places, churches, some bars, even arenas, people
Yeah.
are like, I can't, like,
Hear the guitar.
you were up there miming. Like, you might as well have just, like,
Why? Why though?
might as well just forego the
Pascal,
cable and just.
but why? You give them that.
And the thing is, like, when I'm going from studio to live, I will typically maintain this quality, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
this is how I play.
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to the appreciation for the instrument, right? I found that if I'm playing like folk music gigs or I'm playing like, if I know I'm doing like more rock-esque stuff,
Right. You're gonna hear the
guitar is +6.
Right,
You're,
okay.
you're gonna hear it, right?
Right,
And
right.
I've been in situations where there's no keyboard player, it's just two guitarists, right?
Right.
Second guitar players
Okay.
in the back of the room.
All
Yeah,
right,
I've been in situations where it's just two guitars, you know, three.
Okay.
3 guitars on stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Story for another day. Yeah. and there's no keyboard player.
Right.
But I'll step into a situation where, like, I can say this, I'm black, where black people are playing music and it's like they don't need guitar. And because whoever is mixing is not really thinking about the entire room, they're just thinking about what they're used to hearing.
Right.
They just
Talk about that, because I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like they don't know what to do with it.
yeah.
Is that kind of fair to
Yeah,
say?
that's really fair. And again, that's really just because it's not a popular instrument in the black community. Everybody wants to play keys or drums, right?
I hear that. Bass.
And all the drummers
Yeah.
want to play bass because bass is the pipeline to the world of pitched instruments when you're a drummer, right? It's like 50%
Yep.
rhythmic, 50% pitched.
Yep.
So if I only know syncopations and paradiddles and rhythms my
Yep.
whole life, the easiest way for me to get into the world of notes is to play bass.
Yeah. I've already been locking with them.
Exactly,
half
because
my
you're
life.
locking with them. You're listening to them
Yeah.
already anyway, so
Yeah.
you might as well just start playing it yourself.
That's what's up.
Whereas if a third of the city wants to play keys, a third of the city wants to play drums, and a third of the city is bass players split between people who actually play bass and drummers who want to learn how to play bass, then it kind of puts you in a situation as a guitar player where it's like, okay,
It's lonely out
it's
here. It's
guy,
It's cold out here,
it's
brother.
cold
Yeah,
outside in
man.
the streets, man.
I hear you, man. I
It's
hear
cold.
you.
But
Risky out
it's
here, man.
it gets nippy for sure.
I hear you,
But
man.
it kind of puts guitar players in a situation where, like, if you strive for excellence, people will know that they can rely on you,
Right.
right?
Right.
And especially because there are so few of us,
Absolutely.
right? If you put yourself in a position where it's like every time someone calls you, you execute,
Yeah.
right? We'll call this
Opportunities
easy-
will come.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for all the upcoming guitars, there's as you're saying, there's a ton of opportunity, right? Like
Yes.
it's kind of
It's an undersaturated field.
all right.
Very
I love that.
undersaturated.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And we did get a question coming in, man. This is great. Like we had
Oh,
some
cool.
folks on YouTube that were coming in, and I got this question from somebody. This was earlier when you were talking about drums and how you get a lot of your approach from there. The question was, do you change what you play based on the drummer?
Ooh.
And how does the synergy with the drummer impact how you play? That's a good question
That's a
for you.
great question.
Yeah.
Do I change what I play based on the drummer? The short answer is yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep. Why?
And that's really just because a lot of times, okay, your band is only as good as your drummer. If I had to put something music related on a t-shirt, I could easily put that on a t-shirt because it is like, that is a belief that I will take it to the grave.
Okay.
Right? Your band is only as good as your
the
drummer.
drummer, huh?
Right? And I've been blessed to play with some incredible, like world-class drummers. Right?
Awesome.
But every drummer is different.
Yeah.
Some drummers really enjoy metric modulation, which is where, like, you'll take a beat in 4/4 and you'll kind of redivide it so it sounds a little less like 4/4. It starts
Right.
to sound like a different time signature,
Right.
but it still sits within 4, right? So you do like a
Right.
right? Like all of that was in 4/4, but that
Yeah.
middle portion didn't sound like it, right?
Right.
So if I'm playing with a drummer and I know the drummer is into stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
then I can anticipate stuff like that.
Mm.
And when the drummer goes there, I can go there with him.
Right.
That way, it sounds like the band is moving as a cohesive unit,
Right.
which is what you want at the end of the day.
Right.
Whereas if I'm playing with a drummer who likes to do a lot of offbeat stuff on a hi-hat, for example, right? They're into like the whole like Dilla type thing.
Right. Right.
Right? Then I know I can't play like straight on the grid. Because if I play on the grid, then either I make the drummer sound bad or the
Right.
drummer makes me sound bad. And because
Right.
the drummer is the drummer, they're going to make me sound bad. And I don't need people thinking, yo, this guitar player
What's up with that guitar player?
sucks, yo. Who is this guy? I don't need that. So it's easier for me as a guitar player, you know, playing an instrument that isn't the most needed. I say that very carefully. Playing an instrument that isn't the most needed, it's better for me to play along with the drummer and adapt my playing to the drummer's playing. And it's more fun.
Awesome.
If I'm just rigid, then, you know.
Great question and great answer.
Thank you.
So this question came in. It says they're asking actually for a breakdown of how to play a song, the parts, so that it flows. I think the question is talking about.
Interesting.
Remember how you're saying kind of playing through the most important parts?
Yeah.
And also, it's a good time to kind of try some live approach, I think, too,
Right.
as well.
Okay.
What do you have?
Am I allowed to pull up a song?
Whatever you want to do. What do you want to do?
Because there's this song I have a couple of songs just off of Spotify.
Okay, cool.
What I'll typically do is, I'm offline. Okay. Yeah. So what I'll typically do, I'm just gonna talk through this as I get this sorted. What I'll typically do is I'll rehearse or practice the songs, and I will restrict myself. I mean, I have to. I'm playing. I'm by myself.
Yeah.
I will restrict myself to playing one aspect of guitar per section.
Okay.
So essentially what that means is I'll do a song like, let's say I listen to this song a lot. It's called Christ Did It All by Matthew McIntosh. I play the song a lot.
It's a big tune.
Gigantic. So when I'm doing songs like this, I'll talk through it and then I'll play. So when I hear an intro like that, I'm taking the intro lead. I'm not going to sit in my room and go and just power chord. That's boring. Why would I do that? Right?
Yeah.
And if I'm practicing for a situation where I'm the only guitar player, I'm going to do what the only guitar player would do, which is
Awesome.
play lead lines. Right? In a situation like this, I'm not playing the melody because I'm going to let the singer sing the melody of the song.
Right.
In a situation like this, I'll probably just
Why don't you play right through it?
turn the volume up. There's a line. Another line.
Yes, sir.
Right? So I'm switching back and forth between. Oh, there it is. Playing the melody, right? But I'm coming back to the chords.
Yes, sir.
Ah! And all of this I'll play.
Yes, sir.
Right? Catch your shots. Chill moment. But typically, like if I'm in my room, I'll do stuff like a.
Yeah.
Match the bass.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'll do stuff like that, or all of that stuff. I'm kind of
Beautiful, man.
I'm switching between the power chord stuff and the lead stuff, and
yeah, man.
prioritizing in the moment.
Listen,
right?
beautiful, beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Yeah, there you have it, folks. So again, just a demonstration going through, depending on what the song calls for and what's gonna make it move the most.
Really what the moment calls for.
Absolutely,
Right.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
man. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Pascal, before we move on, because I know there was another track, I think, or was there?
I do believe there is one more.
All right.
Yeah.
While you're getting that ready, talk to us about your journey. I know you kind of mentioned this at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I know you're a humble guy, but you kind of been playing and doing some music, right? And so, why don't you talk a little bit about that a little bit? So, because again, folks have to understand the progression. It didn't just happen overnight,
Definitely,
right? But
definitely.
Walk us through that a little bit. Just sort of your playing journey and where this guitar has brought you.
So I didn't mention this before, so I can say this. Mm-hmm. I taught myself guitar from the age of 9 to 11.
Okay.
And I think I had my first guitar lesson like May of 2011.
Okay.
And I had the same teacher. His name is Oscar. I had the same teacher for 4, maybe 5 years.
Okay.
And had a few other teachers after that point. And then by about 2017, I was like, okay, I have everything I need. You guys are giving me all the theoretical building blocks.
Yeah.
I have all the foundation. Did
Just
a little
gotta
bit of
put it
classical
together.
playing.
Okay.
I'm good. Everything I need to know, you guys cannot teach me. You guys can't teach me African music. You guys can't teach me how to play in church. The way you guys use modes is not the way I need to use them.
Okay.
I can, but it's not the way I need to use them.
Okay.
So I'm going to go. And from 2017, I really embarked on a journey of like finding what my sound needed to be. Right? I was listening to a lot of different music at the time, and a lot of it wasn't really guitar heavy at all.
Okay.
Like, I think my most played album in 2017 was by like Lecrae, who's like
Okay.
a Christian rapper.
Okay.
Like I was not listening to a lot of guitar heavy stuff.
Right.
So around that time, I realized like my musical palette had to change. And that's the first piece of advice I could give to anyone, like musically, who is, if you feel like you've hit a roadblock, listen to something new. Because since 2017, I've hit a few roadblocks, and I've overcome each and every single one of them by listening to a different genre.
Right.
Right? So 2017 rolls around. I'm teaching myself more stuff. I'm listening to people like Smokey Norfolk and Dorinda Clark Cole. I'm learning Kirk Franklin records on keys and on guitar.
Right.
That way, it's just like I can take some of the information on one instrument and transfer it to another.
Right.
To another. Exactly. I started playing in church more in 2017, and that really like catapulted the development of my musical IQ.
Right.
By the time by 2018, I believe it was, I was doing some like band leadership, like MD type stuff in the youth church.
Okay.
And then I think the year after that, I'd started doing it like in the adult church.
All right. All right.
And that was a whole journey in and of itself.
Yeah.
And it still is. And
Yeah.
it's a whole lot of fun playing with those guys. We're like family.
Yeah.
But yeah, since then, my musical horizon has kind of just been expanding. I ended up buying an acoustic guitar and, getting back into fingerstyle stuff.
Right.
Because I have a very, very small classical background. Very, very small.
Right.
Very, very, very small.
Okay.
But it's enough to do do fingerstyle
Got
stuff.
you.
So I would take some of that knowledge, and meeting one of my really good guitar friends, Nick, he was just like, yeah, some of the stuff you have to reverse engineer it. Like you have to unlearn certain things to go further in the finger picking world. So luckily I had some type of foundation to undo, because some people like they're approaching a completely new thing.
Right. Because acoustic is not.
It's not necessarily the
electric,
same as
right?
electric at
Right.
all. Like all the stuff you just heard me do
Right.
could never happen on an acoustic guitar. Never. It just
And
it would sound
explain,
weird.
because some people may not really.
True. So acoustic guitars, the way they're set up, actually I'll talk about electric guitars first since I'm holding one. These things here, there's the two black ones, and then this big silver block here. These are called pickups, and what they do is pick up the sound. Nothing about guitar is cleverly named. Nothing. This is the head, this is the neck, this is the body. Wow. Yeah, nothing is cleverly named. These, they essentially like have magnets in them that will pick up the sound of the strings. And acoustic guitars don't have that. They just have just a big old hole right in the middle of the guitar. It's a big, wide body, maybe about this big. Some acoustic guitars are bigger. And there's a hole right here where the pickups usually would be, and the sound resonates through the body of the guitar.
Right.
So some of the things that you would do on an electric guitar don't necessarily translate that well because if you're playing like stuff up here on an acoustic guitar, it sounds like it sounds like really tinny and like I don't know, it just feels like stuff is crawling on you. It's weird. I've never been a fan of it, but once I started doing that and I got more into like the fingerstyle stuff, so like I'll forever be chasing after you. I'll be chasing after you. Once I get it, I got it. Once I started getting into stuff like that, it just helped me approach music differently.
Right.
Because if all of that stuff is happening down here, as a guitar player, your best bet is to add something up
way
here.
up high. Right. Okay.
Right. Like if all of this is happening, it doesn't make sense for you to go.
You're in the way.
Because you're in the way. Move out the way. Right? If someone's down here, then I could be. Right? I could occupy more space up here, and then you could have a third guitar. Right.
Beautiful. Yep.
You know,
parts.
Yeah, parts.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation as a guitar player. But once I started expanding my horizon, the way I approached playing in bands changed.
Right.
Because now I have a bigger, let's call it a bigger vocabulary. Right. I have a bigger box of reference files to go through.
Right.
The way I like to explain to people, the way my brain works is once I hear something, it goes in a folder.
Yeah.
And before it goes in the folder, my brain will look for everything it's ever come across that is similar to it.
Right.
And then it'll hold it up, compare it, and if they're close enough, it'll go in the folder. And then
I can take this approach.
And exactly.
Yep.
When I need this, I can pull the whole folder out, and there's like 10 songs in this folder that all have similar concepts, and I can explore anything from any one of those
And that
songs.
comes from listening, huh?
Listening.
Yeah.
You do, yeah. Musicians, okay, it's actually important that I say this. Musicians don't get paid to play. They get paid to listen first. You can you can be a guitar player, a keyboard player, a bass player, a drummer. When that's your role, your job is to play. Right? So if I'm busking in the middle of Yonge Street, for example, I can call myself a musician, but there's no context for me to play against.
Right.
It's just me by myself.
Right.
Whereas if I'm in a room and there's someone on that keyboard, someone playing this guitar, someone ripping this organ, someone on that drum kit, and someone in the other drum kit in the room in the back.
Right.
In order for me to actually contribute something of value, I have to listen to the people in the room.
Right.
And I have to listen before I start playing.
Right.
Because if this person comes in and they're playing in C, and then this person comes in on the chord and they're just like, I don't want to play in C. And they're in like A flat, right? Minor. They're just like there's no relation. Like they're gone, right? Like A flat, B flat, and then B. Like no correlation, right? And these two people want to claim they're playing together. They're lying to themselves, right? Because no one took the time to listen to the other person.
Right.
So as a musician,
life lesson.
Yes, as a musician, listen first, play later.
Beautiful, man. We're learning about music, but we're learning about life. Man. This is awesome.
In life, listen first, talk later.
Come on.
And talk later.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Some wisdom there.
Yes,
listen, before that, you were just talking about the end of your journey. As
well, not the end.
Where you're at
up
now.
until this point.
You're right.
Yeah.
Thanks for the correction.
Of course. Before COVID happened, I was still in university, so I wasn't really doing a lot of gigs. Like for me, it was like I was doing like worship nights and like smaller scale stuff. The most it would be was like a few hundred people in a room. And then COVID happened and everything kind of shut. These are paid gigs I'm talking about again. COVID came and shut everything down, right? If you think you're doing your gig, you're crazy. If you think you're meeting up to rehearse, you're crazy. If you think you're going outside to even tune your guitar, you're crazy. Stay inside your house and practice in your house, right? And in the musician community, it was kind of like commonly understood but not very loudly said that once everything picked up, the people who moved the fastest are going to be able to work the most, right? Because coming out of the pandemic, you're trying to make up for lost time, make up for lost opportunities, make up for lost money. So I was blessed to be one of the people who was on an upward trajectory right before the pandemic hit, but I maintained it.
Right. You kept going.
I keep going through the pandemic. Honestly, I can't really say how. I don't really know. I think post to Instagram, network with people. I can't. I honestly don't know. Pray. I don't really know. But coming out of the pandemic, there were people who wanted to hire me for out of country gigs already, but they couldn't because of the pandemic.
Right.
So they lost those opportunities, and once they got them back, they would message me and be like, "Hey, remember me?
Right.
You're still alive, right?
Right.
Like this thing didn't. Like you still have your lung capacity. Like you're okay." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. Like I'm still playing. Like." And they'll go through my Instagram. "Oh, you've gotten better. Like you've been practicing during lockdown." And I'm like, gotta stay ready. And they'd be like, "Okay, perfect, because I need you in Puerto Rico in 2 weeks."
Let's go.
And I'd be like, "Okay, Mom, Dad, I'm going to Puerto Rico." Yeah. And
how did that conversation go?
Man, luckily because of the artist for whom it was, my dad was very, very happy to say the least. He was over the moon about it.
All right.
It was just like there's this pop duo from Nigeria, and they actually broke up a few years before the pandemic.
Oh wow.
Pandemic happened, and they were like, "Okay, this is dumb." Like, I don't know. The pandemic just made everybody think about stuff.
Right.
Like your priorities shifted because you have to stay alive, right?
Right.
So they made up during the pandemic and then decided, okay, we're going to go on a reunion tour.
Right.
The guy who called me used to play for them before they broke up. They broke up. They were doing solo stuff. They got back together. They called him again, and he called me.
Got it.
And
there you go.
Next thing I knew, I was in San Juan.
That's what's up.
That's it.
That's what's up.
And from there, it's just been like, use the first venture as momentum to secure the next one. Right. And in a situation where you use the momentum and nothing happens, you need to figure out ways to make stuff happen for yourself. Right. You need to get into creating or production or teaching or something that works. That way you're still sharpening your skills in the field.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I'm going to open it up because I know we're getting towards the end here, Pascal. I imagine there might be some questions. Am I right in thinking so? Awesome. I'm going to give the mic over right here.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, dude.
I know you're left-handed, but your right hand is incredible.
Thank you.
So when you're doing the power chord thing, I could hear your pick attack from in the room, even over the volume of the amp.
Yeah.
Can you talk about playing electric guitar unplugged? Because I know we've talked about practicing that way. And then I noticed your lead playing is like the same volume as your power chord playing, which is dope. Can you show me a lead line and then break down the pick direction? Maybe a lead line that has like one or two legatos in it.
Okay.
Because I know you're really specific about the ups and downs. So
Definitely.
I just want like one more breakdown.
Okay. We're gonna start with the it was pick attack, right? That was the first one? Okay, cool. My first teacher was fully classically trained, but he was also like a metalhead. And when I say metal, I mean like silver rings with the skull and crossbones, black hair, shoulder length, like you see him walking down the hallway and he plays metal. Like you just know it, right? And incredible teacher, but one of the first things he taught me was if you play quietly here, it's not going to be loud here. So you might as well put as much energy as you need into the pick attack. And then let the amplifier carry what you give it. As opposed to cranking your amp up to 7 and then playing this loud, and then wondering why nobody can hear you, right? When you turn your amp up that loud and you play quietly, the rest of the room gets into the microphone before your guitar does, and you get feedback. And now every engineer hates you because they just can't figure out what's wrong with your tone. But to answer the first part of that question, which was playing unplugged, I remember now. For a long time, I played unplugged because I didn't own headphones, and my parents didn't want to hear an amplifier after 9 p.m. It was really that simple, right? So I would do a lot of stuff unplugged, a lot of the exercises that my teacher taught me, just like basic walk-up stuff.
And picking wise, are you alternating?
Yeah, so picking wise for that exercise, the way it works is one pass is alternate. So
Okay.
down, up, down, up, down.
Yep.
I'll drop some volume.
Right.
Right? All the way up. And then once I get to the second pass, it's all hammer-ons.
One pick.
And the idea is, with both the pick attack and the hammer-ons especially, try to get the same volume, right? Because a lot of times when people do more than one hammer-on, the volume will dip, right? So if you can practice just like... Right. I used to sit in front of my TV and just watch TV, and I would just... Right. And then I'd switch fingers. Pinky's always the hardest one. Right? For like an hour. And it's passive practice. Like, you don't need to sit there and actively look.
Right.
If you know where your fingers are going, then you know where your fingers are going. But I've always found using a thicker pick. This is a 1.14 millimeter pick.
I wanted to ask you, what is that? 1.1, you said?
Yeah, 1.14. This is the purple Dunlop Tortex pick.
All right.
I'm not endorsed yet, so if you buy this, it doesn't help me at all. Operative word being yet. But thank you. Yeah, I always find that when I'm picking, I'm going to... I don't necessarily use... I know some people will use like the side of the string. Like they'll kind of pick and you can hear some of that motion.
Yeah.
I've always just been kind of a flush, right? So I don't know if you can see, but the string sits like perpendicular to the pick, right? So I'm going straight through the pick. Some people will play on an angle. And I've never really been a fan of stuff like that, but you know, one thing about technique is if it's not wrong, do what works. That's a big thing. In terms of the legato stuff, you know, just playing like really, really fluid type notes, I actually wrote a lick for a session I did yesterday. I'm trying to remember how it went though. Yeah, that was the lick. All right, I'll play. I think. Yeah. So, a lot of that stuff is not like legato, but it's almost like a fake legato where I'm using less picking and more hammer-ons and pull-offs to emulate not necessarily legato, which is like when all of your stuff flows really, really well, but I'm going for more of a vocal quality. And I think that's the main difference between like how the metal guys play and how the progressive rock guys play. I'm getting a little bit nerdy, but stay with me. Progressive rock is kind of like, it's like a subgenre of rock that sits somewhere in between metal and pop, right? So the melodies are like really, really warm and bright and open, and they have a lot of character. But a lot of the stuff that they play moves as if a singer was singing it, right? So I can do stuff like, okay. The slide at the end of, that's from the Snarky Puppy song. The slide at the end of that line is very, very vocal. Right? It has it opens big and then just closes itself shut.
Right.
As if I ain't got nothing, nothing, nothing if I don't have you. And it closes, right?
Okay.
So that's kind of the same idea there. So I think the secret to my pick attack is less pick attack. Funny enough, I do a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs, and in that lick I played, I'm actually barring. So in some versions, I might kill this note, and in other versions, I might just let it ring out. Right? And most of that is just, right, like...
Left hand action.
Yeah, it's all left hand action. So in some ways, my left hand is compensating for my right hand, but it's not compensating because I can't do it. It's compensating because I like the way it sounds. And because I know how to sing, I'm going to emulate the vocal quality that I've heard in others in my lead playing.
Got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you're a left-hand player as well, so it's kind of like
Yeah, I kind of got the luck of the draw. I do everything with my left hand except for play.
interesting.
It's weird.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, no, it works for you.
I mean, it
That's what's
works.
up.
Right.
Awesome. Any other questions, y'all? We're just getting towards the end here, and I know Pascal's going to play us out. Here's a question. Beautiful.
My question is not as cool as that one was, but just very basic. I'm very curious what your practice routine is like, and also if you have recommendations for somebody who's like still a beginner, especially wanting to like be able to play at my local church and everything. What would you recommend for practice?
If you don't know how to play scales, play scales. And that's less, if you're playing acoustic guitar at your church, you don't really need scales. Technically, like at a functional level, it's more so to help your ear develop and you can hear when things are changing. And honestly, you can take like, this is, I feel bad answering the question like this because it's so painstakingly boring, but to just go, until you can do it without looking, without thinking, and to a metronome. Big practice advice for beginners. Practice to a metronome. From before you even get the instrument, you should be listening to metronome. Like as soon as you can run with a metronome, do it. Because when you get to the point where you're able to play with others, what's going to happen is they're going to hit a metronome. And if you're going, they're going to say, yo, whose man's is this? And you don't want that, especially if you're playing guitar, because a bad guitar player is about as useful as like old food. Yeah. Like you're either good or you're gone. So practice scales, and only until you've mastered scales should you be playing chords, honestly. And that's not necessarily to say you can rip the scale all the way up and down. Like, understand what makes a scale, learn major scales, learn minor scales, and then you can start to look into what makes a chord, and how we take those scales and turn them into chords.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Pascal, there's like a million questions here that people had.
We can do like a rapid fire. Like,
You know what it is? I think we're going to have to get you back here, man.
part two?
I think, I'm seeing
part
everybody's
two.
like, yeah, because like,
Okay.
there's just, I don't know, man. There's so many, like, folks are asking about advanced chord voicings. Folks are asking about, like, there's just, there's so many questions here, and I'm just looking at it. And I'm looking at the time, and I'm just like, it's over.
Can we do one question?
Okay, yeah. So
If you
why
could pick-
don't we do that one?
Okay.
So someone was asking about like more advanced chords. So maybe talk about chords and how you approach chords, because we haven't talked a lot about chords today.
That's true. I
Yeah.
think on the list there was someone mentioned something about triads as well.
Yes.
So
right.
I'm gonna try and throw all of that stuff together.
Sure.
Like I mentioned before, this is a note. when you put multiple notes together, you get a chord.
Yeah.
Right? And a chord is made up of 3 parts. There's a root. This is fundamental, like 101. Root, third, and fifth. So I can play this note, I can play this note, and I can play this note. And this is a triad. Right? There's a million different ways I can play this triad. And really what the most important things to me are when I play this triad are the highest note and the highest note and the lowest note. Right? So if I need to play this chord, but it doesn't work for me in this setting, then what I'll do is change the voicing.
Right.
Right? So I'll play this A major chord here.
Right.
Or here. But if I don't want this note on the top, right? This is the third of A. If I don't want this note on top, I'll play
2.
2, right? If I'm looking for something with a little more character, I'll play the 4 on top, right?
Yeah. Suspended, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm suspending notes. From there, how I got into, I guess, discovering chords was quite literally, I would play a triad
Right.
and move one note.
Move it around.
Just move one note,
For real.
right? So I would play, for example, just like a basic E triad. And I would say, what if this E wasn't an E? What if it was an F? Right? Now I have like a diminished kind of thing going on. What if the G sharp on top was a G? E minor. What if the B on top was a B flat? Right? Now I'm kind of getting into some major 9 territory if I extend it. Right? That was the first thing I did. The second thing I did, honestly, like we said this before, musicians get paid to listen first. So this is way back in 2017. Like I was spending all my time listening to records like Marvin Sapp's Thirsty.
Okay.
I was listening to old Israel records. I mentioned Dorinda Clark Cole. I mentioned Smokey Norfolk. I went back and listened to Ty Trebet's Greater Than album. That's what it's called. 2013. Okay. And as a guitar player, here's where things get sticky. The best way to learn advanced chords, this is for me, is to listen to keyboard players. And what you have to do, because it's very difficult, all the notes get clustered. Sit down and listen to that 3-second pocket of audio 60 times.
Right, where you can hear, yeah.
Every single time until you can pick out every individual note in the chord. And then put it on the guitar, and what you'll find is typically you have to sacrifice some notes for others. But usually when you end up with the shape, someone else has already come up with it. So then you can just cross-reference shapes on the internet by, okay, if I know there's a D and I know that I'm supposed to play an A flat and a C, then I can go on the internet and literally type in chords with D, A flat, and C in them. And the first chord I'll get.
AI out here, bro.
Right, literally, it'll do it for you, right? Like, all that stuff, like, OpenAI will teach you music if it has to, if you ask it to. The first chord you'll probably get is this minor 7 flat 5 chord, right? Which is really just a major 7 chord.
With one note difference.
One note difference,
Yep.
right? And then I'll treat this chord like a diminished chord. And technically it's not supposed to move like that, but it works. So I do it.
It ain't broke, don't fix it, brother.
It's that simple. It's that simple.
That's what's up. That's
Yeah.
awesome. No, man, that's incredible. I just wanted to know, were there any other questions? We're just wrapping up here. Okay, awesome.
Pascal, I just want to say you're amazing.
Thank you.
And I mean, listening to you play, I can definitely hear that you listen a lot. The question I have is, so even that one track you showed where that was just stacked, right? You're making a lot of production decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when did you realize that that was your job? And obviously it's genre specific, right? So I have 2 questions. First, what is your favorite genre to track, like to record? And yeah, and then how how do you get to learn what your job is? Like, how much deconstructing have you had to do to get to say, okay, in this genre, this is what I have to do. I'm going to stick to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an incredible question. I think my favorite genre to track, man, this is hard. I'm gonna say gospel music, just because like gospel isn't really a genre. It's kind of a type because there's gospel rock, there's gospel country, there's gospel rap, right? Those are genres. Those are types of music, right? Like those are. You can take that and you can shape it into something else. You can take gospel music and shape it into really whatever you want, right? But I do really enjoy tracking like the more CCM style stuff where you have the big overdrive with the reverb and the delay. I don't do it often, but I enjoy it. But I think like number one, like if I can get a rhythm part going,
Yes,
like
sir.
if I can like I can sit in my room and record that from the beginning of the song till the end, and I will sit there. And I'll just stay there and I'm locked in. It doesn't really matter. Like I won't move. I enjoy playing rhythm more than I enjoy doing any of the lead stuff. So I can sit there all day. What was the second half of your question? Like I said before, a lot of the decisions I'm making are coming from things I've heard before. Right? If when I'm listening to a record, especially for the first time, I'm trying to absorb as much information as I can from the record, right? I'm thinking about the decisions that are being made, the instruments that are being used, who's playing fast, who's playing slow, who's playing short notes, who's playing long notes, and why. Where is that supposed to be going? Then I'll take all that information, all this IQ I've gained, throw my session in, and I'm thinking, okay, the producer has the aux doing one thing. I'm going to do the opposite. That way, the music stays balanced. When there's a big moment and two or more elements are doing something, I'm going to join. I have to join. Because if I don't join, they're going to call me and say, hey, you did a great job, but can you skip to bar 97 and catch the line with it? And I don't have time for that. So if I hear the bass player is playing a line and whoever tracked keys is playing the same line with both hands,
We all playing that line.
everybody's playing the line. Everybody plays the line. And what I'll do is I'll double track the line. So I'll play it octave up, octave down. And the producer can decide if they want to use it or not. Right? At the end of the day, if I as a session player can give the producer more than what they need, they will never not be happy. Right? Even more, sometimes, honestly, it really just comes down to listening to the music and deciding again, like I can't stress this enough, based on the things that you've heard before and what feels like it's missing in the song, is it my job to add this as a guitar player or not? Right. And pretty even 50-50 split between you're supposed to be doing this and this is not your business. Right? Like a solo could be you, could be some type of synth, could be a trumpet, could be a sax based on the type of the song. You kind of just have to know the music to know what decisions you need to be making.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Top 3 guitarists. Quick. Rapid fire. For you.
Top 3.
Yeah, just
Okay.
influence you.
Top 3.
Top 3.
Okay. Mark Lettieri.
Okay.
Oh my God, this is a lot of pressure.
Top 3. You got 2 more.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I should have said 5,
You
right?
definitely should have said 5. Okay. Mark Lettieri.
Yup.
I'm going to say Aaron Marshall.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Chris Payton.
Got it.
Yeah.
Super locked. Awesome.
Yeah.
Y'all, let's give it up one more time for Pascal. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me, man.
Pascal, it's been a pleasure, man. I've enjoyed hanging with you.
This has been great.
You're going to get a chance to play us out, so I know you got something ready. Just vibe with us. We'll figure it out. But listen, y'all, thank you so much for joining. To our audience, those in person, those online, I just want to say a super big thank you. Just quickly, I'll just let folks know. SoundCheck is a place for musicians. We're a place where we are giving workshops like these, opportunities to come and play in this. Does everybody think the studio's kind of nice here? We got a pretty nice studio here. It sounds pretty good in this room. This is a place for you to come and rehearse. We have free programs. We have free lessons. This is an amazing resource, and we want you all to tap in. So if you're not tapped into SoundCheck, definitely tap in. I know we got all kinds of stuff that folks can get on. And last but not least, I have to make sure that folks are aware we are a nonprofit organization. And so we do this because we think it's important. But if you are enjoying these kind of sessions, if you think this is really good and helpful, we also implore you to tap in that way and support. Even a little bit goes a long way, and folks can donate on our website, and there's plenty of ways that you can get involved as well up on the screen and everything else. So thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate you. And Pascal, I'm loving what I'm hearing in the background, man. Why don't you just play us out, and good night to everybody.
That's all I got.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pascal Adesina. Thank you.
Y'all. Have a good night. Trust me, I'm looking.